Here we go. Boom. We are here. We're getting ready. I love this new intro music. Boom. We are here. We are here. The new intro music goes hard.
It's a vibe, man.
Yeah, it's a vibe. Jesse didn't like it. Jesse was like, what happened? Copyright claims, motherfucker. People wanted money. We'll start doing the housekeeping now so we can just jump right in. A little housekeeping. If you're listening, rate the podcast. If you are just listening, watch the podcast and share it on YouTube at Big Mood TV. We drop all the video from every podcast goes on there. Go to my website, bigmoodcoach.com. We're updating it. Got some new shit on there. What else? We have 6-week series coming out. We have all kinds of new shit coming out all the time. So subscribe, share. We want to connect with you. So today we have an interesting story of a person who I've seen on the periphery. It's very interesting that we have never gotten close because we fuck with the same people and we have just tight mutual people. But I've only heard little pieces of your story, and you have one of the most, from what I know, one of the more profound stories and interesting stories. And I talk about it on here all the time. We want everybody represented. And, you have a story that needs to be represented. So we have James LaRusso on. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah, dude. And I know it's going to be fire. So what we're going to do is let you flow, tell your story, let it guide you, be free. You're not bound by anything. People want to know you. I want to know you. So be free, man.
Cool. Well, Thank you, man. Thank you for the intro. So I don't know. I mean, we kind of met in like you said, a pretty tight circle, which we've been running around in here in San Diego for a while. I currently live in Arizona, from the Midwest originally, and, kind of found myself out here early on. I mean, I think I moved to LA when I was like 18 or 19, but I bounced around a lot, man. I mean, I was like one of the kids. I grew up really normal ass family. You know what I mean? Like that's the crazy, I think that's the craziest part about my story is like, great mom, I had a stepdad, great stepdad. My dad, great man, probably wasn't ready to have a kid when he had a kid. It wasn't around all the time that I wanted him there. But aside from the emotional, I don't even want to call it abuse, right? Emotional unavailability of my dad, totally normal childhood, kind of spoiled, only child.
Mine's the same way.
Yeah, middle class family.
I'm the only one in my family like that, my super normal life.
Yeah, it's And, everybody's like, what the hell is he talking about? What is his life? What happened in his life? But, my upbringing was super normal. I lost my grandparents when I was super young. They're super tight with my grandparents. They were like the rock and the glue of the family, and my grandma passed away really quick. And then my grandfather passed away, I don't know, about 10 years after her, so when I was 13. And that's kind of when, I was on this I always tell everybody, so for those out there, I'm recovered from alcohol and drug addiction, and I've been sober for about 5 years. But at that point in time, that's when things kind of started taking off for me, dude, because it was only child, didn't have anybody around my age, around me. All my friends were older than me, and then I was hanging out with adults, and so when it came to exploring, that was the easiest way to explore, was connecting with people, going to the party, getting a rack of beer. I had a beard when I was 14 or 15. So I was the dude.
You have a fantastic beard.
Oh, thanks, man. I was the dude,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was that was my way of connecting. And so it started when I was young, and then grandma passed away. So it was that sucked, and then my dad kind of fucked off. Well, I kind of told him to fuck off when I was 13 or 14 because I had enough, So all through high school, it just kind of progressed from drinking to socialize to drinking to escape to smoking marijuana constantly to finding cocaine and finding pills and mixing these things together, And dude, it got wild there. In high school, I mean, shit, my best friend, my running mate, his dad passed away from alcoholism when we were sophomores or juniors in high school. Mm-hmm. And I think we just, we were kind of running with our people down this straight line, and me and my homie just went skirt. And we were off in our own crazy world, dude. And I mean, I remember we had this neighbor. He was like the cliche, like, I've been in 17 car accidents. I got 14 different doctors and 30 scripts of different opiates.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to like sell. I mean, we were in high school and he was like in his 40s. He was like a assistant coach on the football team for like the Pee Wee team that we played for when we were kids. And he's like slanging pills to us and shit, dude. So like me and my friend, that's kind of when I learned how to hustle, you know, and like I was just being a little old, rug rat, I guess you can say, like a little shithead. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So me and my buddy, we started using those. And then like the other neighbor moved in from Florida and he's like, hey man, you know where I can get Oxycontin? I was like, actually, I do. And so we'd go to the one neighbor's house and grab 10 of them and then walk over there and sell them at 200, 300% what we bought them for. Yeah. And that's how I learned how to hustle, man. And so all this time's going on in like my relationship with my parents, I'm just like, I'm butting heads, that typical shit. So at 17, I bounced. And from there, man, it got rough, And so my idea was like, fuck you guys. I can live a life better than my own. This naive kid. I move out and I moved to Florida and started living with I kind of bounced around town for a little bit, but I ended up moving in with my cousin in Florida. And one of the fun parts about my story, other than addiction, is kind of what happened to really grow my addiction. Because at this point I'm addicted, right? It's not social shit anymore. But I moved to live with my cousin. I tried to get a normal job down there. And it's funny that I cut myself shaving today, telling this story. For those who are watching the video, there's a little mark there.
Okay. Don't worry.
But what happened, dude, I went and got a job. I'm 18, mind you. I got like a little 5 o'clock shadow, get a job as a waiter at a restaurant. I go in. Dude's like, you can't have facial hair here, dude. You got to shave. It's like this bougie ass restaurant in Fort Lauderdale on the beach. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm 18. Like, it probably seemed like a lot of facial hair for me at the time, but I'm like, this isn't. He's like, you need to go to the bathroom and shave. He gives me like a Bic razor and then like hand soap. Yeah. I come back out looking like Freddy Krueger got a hold of me. You know what I mean?
Sliced their face.
Oh man, dude, I look so bad. So he's like, well, you can't serve tables looking like that, And I'm like, man, fuck this, dude.
Yeah.
So I bounced. I just quit the first day, and I went back to my cousin's house. And long story short, I ended up putting a Craigslist ad up because I knew a dude in Chicago that was a male entertainer, and he was a dancer. He'd like dance at like bachelorette parties and shit. And I was like, I could fucking do that. You know what I mean? Like,
no sexual trauma?
No.
Any questions about your sexuality early?
No.
So what makes you think I can be a dancer?
I just thought like, because I knew him. I actually think if memory serves me correctly, dude, my brain's fucking fried. But if memory serves me correctly, at one point I did something when I was like newly 18 I think I went to like a party that he did. And I was like, he was like getting hella attention and like making money. And like, I think I might have even like jumped up when I was fucked up and danced and like some like chicks were throwing dollars at me. I was like, sick, I could do this.
Yeah.
So I just had it in my mind. Plus I was like on an ego trip, dude.
Yeah.
I moved away from home.
Just being wild. Just fucking being wild.
Yeah, and I'm fucking, I'm also drinking and smoking and doing all this crazy shit every day. So like I just kind of had this like, I had an inflated ego, But I put this ad up and somebody responds to it like in the first day. And long story short, the guy's like, have you ever considered doing like adult film? Or I forgot how he worded it, but I know he called it all male porn. And I was like, or all male adult work or some shit like that. And I was like, the fuck is that? You know what I mean? And so I replied to him just out of curiosity and we started talking about it. Long story short, I was essentially getting like enrolled into the gay porn industry, not knowing it, you know what I mean? And I lived with my cousin who was gay at the time. So talking to him, he's psyched,
Yeah, he's like, fuck it.
Yeah, he's like my second cousin and he's adopted. So it's not like my fucking aunt's
he's like your friend.
Kid,
he's
you know
like
what I mean?
Close friend.
Yeah. And so I'm like chopping it up with him about it. And he's like, dude, he's like, yeah, go check it out. Like whatever. Like he's 7, 8 years older than me. He's like probably like living a little vicariously through me naturally. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go check it out. So I went, I sent some pictures and these dudes, they called me and I go meet them. And like all these straight dudes are there. Yeah. And I was like, they brought me to like a set, Yeah. And like all these straight dudes are there. So I'm like chopping it up with these guys and like they made it look totally normal, right?
Yeah.
And so I could talk for 17 hours about this, but to kind of fast forward.
No, talk about it. Cause dude, I'll just say, and I spoke about it on a podcast I did a few weeks ago. I have, sexual trauma, gay sexual trauma, and I've had hella gay experiences just in experimentation, not like having sex with dudes, but just like gay, kids being gay.
I did that shit, dude. I like jerked off with homies. I might have like maybe sucked a dick like once and been like, this is kind of fucking weird.
Now you're wrapping it together.
Yeah, but I wasn't like, I wasn't doing this because I wanted to explore my sexuality.
But
yeah.
So that answers the original question. Yeah. Was there any exploration into homosexuality? And there was in your teen years.
And I think it was
because you don't just say, I don't think the average person just says like the average straight guy just says, I'm down to do gay porn. There had to be some foot in the door, at least experience.
Yeah. And I think, I had quite a few gay family members. Yeah. My cousin who I was living with, and then somebody who lived with us was like a friend of my family is actually transgendered.
Okay, I
didn't understand that at that point in time. I thought that he was just a gay like butch lesbian because I was naive. But and he's very into the kink industry and all that stuff, the kink lifestyle, all that shit. So it was kind of normalized.
So it wasn't taboo.
It wasn't taboo, but it was definitely. It was not. I was not like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was kind of like, I was hella fucking nervous. I was hella out of my fucking comfort zone. And on top of that, like, it was just bizarre. And that's kind of going back to that set that I met. The guys, they like normalized it.
Yeah.
There's like hella straight dudes. This one guy was like, yeah, I'm fucking married. I got a kid, and they're all like, the one dude's like showing me pictures of his wife. His like wife's like gorgeous. I'm like, so this is normal? Yeah. Like he's like, oh yeah, I know a bunch of straight guys in the industry, all this stuff.
Interesting, man.
So I guess like in that moment, I kind of just was like, I guess this is something that I can do. But it was also like a cash injection type of deal, right?
Yeah. So it pays well.
Yeah. Well, so then they, they're like, hey, think about it. Like, let us know. And I was like, all right. So I thought about it with my cousin, chopped it up, with him and a couple of friends or whatever. Probably just him and like a friend. I don't think I shared it with many people until later because I was very secretive about it in the beginning. And I made the decision to go back and meet him again. So then they start telling me like numbers, right? They're like, we'll give you $1,500 to jerk off in a solo.
Yeah.
And then $2,500 or some shit like that to do a one-on-one with the dude. And I was like, 18. I'm like, $4,000.
Yeah.
Dude. I would take 4 G's right now.
Yeah. I need 4 G's right now.
You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, fuck, dude. So like, I thought about it and like I was and the guys were super nice. They weren't being pervy or anything like that. It was.
Do you think there's a difference in the LGBT porn industry as opposed to the female porn industry? Do you think like the women are more treated shittier? They're more treated shittier. Do you think the women are treated shittier than the men in the porn industry?
It's an interesting question, and I can't speak on what I don't know, right? Because I don't know what I don't know. But my experience, I know from people that I'm super close to, is significantly different than other people's experiences, right? Because what ended up happening over the next 10 fucking years, which this developed into a career.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, a lot of people have different, it's like exploration but then there's people coming with like really fucking gnarly sexual trauma and like addictions before they come in. And this just like gives them a platform to
feed their addiction.
It gives them a platform to normalize what happened to them in some sick way that they're not even probably present to. Who doesn't, you know what I mean? It's like, people are coming in and shooting scenes like, oh no, daddy, like blah, 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 like the stepdad scenes and the uncle scenes. And like a lot of these people suffered some sort of like sexual trauma in the past where I'm like, this is not fucking healthy. You know what I'm saying? But there's some weird shit. There's a lot of fucked up agents that like pimp out their girls on the straight end, but there's fucked up shit that happens on the gay side too. I think it's just honestly like the reality situation is like with men, and this is, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that, but like when men are managing women, there's like this manipulation factor.
Naturally. I've talked about it on here before. There's a natural predator-prey thing that happens.
Yeah. And then you got the male directors and the male producers and the male cameramen and the male light guys. And then
all shitting on these women, potentially.
Well, yeah. And let's be real. Like in the gay industry, it's kind of the same thing. Like there's a bunch of guys
running
the show and gay men are, well, for the most part, gay men are performing.
Yeah.
But two men interacting sexually, you have that testosterone sexual, sex drive. And so I think the relationship is a lot different there. You know what I mean? To where with women, it's more like, some of them I'm sure are just like, fuck it, whatever. They're like buck wild, crazy. But like, I'm sure a lot of them would appreciate a higher level of respect from a man, as to where men are kind of just piggish. You know what I mean? Like, and in the gay industry, like a lot of these guys are super sex positive. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they're just like, whatever. They don't fucking care. You know what I mean? And like, a cameraman reaching around and like fucking with you while you're shooting is like almost kind of acceptable, even though it's not really. But it's like, it's this normalized thing in the industry. It's fucking weird, dude. And like the more I go back and talk about all this stuff, it's bizarre.
I want you to explore it, because for me, like part of what makes this podcast exceptional is that we go deeper than the surface
story
thing.
Yeah,
because the story is we can glance over it.
Yeah,
but the pathology, that's the interesting part, because there's nuances and subconscious playing a role in all of this.
Yeah,
that I'd love to get into as you feel comfortable.
Oh, dude, I'm an open book, man. I mean, to dive into the first thing, like I said, the normalization, when I went and met those guys, and then I came back and did that scene, it was like I just went right into doing something I had no fucking experience. I never had I never like bent over and fucking took a, sexy photo looking back at the camera before. Yeah. But then two, like next day, never had sex with a man before. Yeah. They don't fucking teach you how to do that shit. Yeah. They're just like, here's a condom and lube.
What was the first time? First of all, so here's what's it. So I'm on the queer spectrum in just throughout my experience. I would consider myself, just being honest with myself. Yeah. But I still can't like be aroused by a man. Yeah. That is not my jam.
I'm the same way. My wife calls me hetero flexible.
I think I'm hetero flexible in a sense, and I never talked about it on the podcast. Yeah. Just for like, I've talked about it a little bit, but a dude does not do it for me. And you seem like
I'm the same fucking way, dude.
So how do you wrap your head around? How do you make a dude work for you? Just like, is it Viagra? That's like
Viagra for sure. Straight
like
porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did the shot a few times. It makes life a lot easier, but it's kind of dangerous. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I mean, you have to remember, bro, like every time I shot a scene, I would Viagra, porn, 3-4 minute takes, if that, 2-3 minute takes. Yeah. Take the condom off, go fucking get work back up, go back at it for a couple minutes, go soft, go back. It was like, it takes fucking forever. So that's one piece of it. But then the other piece is like, I'm shooting the scene. They're handing me a $2,500 check. I'm going and cashing that bitch. And I'm fucking taking $500.
That keep your dick hard.
Buying an 8 buying an 8-ball, going to the fucking bar, getting fucking smashed. And like fucking as many women as I can to justify mentally this thing that I'm doing with my day.
So that's interesting. I had a similar, like part of my sex addiction is because of my sexual trauma and because I was accused of being gay my entire life. I fucked so many people. Almost, do you feel like you fucking so many people was to prove to yourself that you weren't gay? Do you think?
I think I was trying to like identify. I think I was trying to, like, even if I didn't go home and have sex with like my girl or like some chick I met or whatever, like I'd go home and like watch straight porn and jerk off. Yeah. To like reset.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Which is fucking crazy. But, I'm also crazy. I'm a drug addict, right? So like in my brain, like that just made sense to me, right? Yeah. But what ends up going on with that type of industry, dude, is I come in as like, quote, gay for pay porn stars, what they call you. You get put in a box, you get labeled, you get, like everything else in the fucking world, right? And then you start to question who the fuck you are. Because now I'm going by this stage name alias, and I could, you just kind of sum the whole industry thing up. It went from like me being, I want to make $4,000 to shooting multiple scenes and making a bunch of money in like that first month or two, to getting introduced to an agent, to becoming a contract star for the next like 9 or 10 years. So like
So you were successful.
Oh, dude, I was like, I mean, not to like boast or brag, but like internationally known type of shit, like traveling to different countries to do events, traveling to different countries to, I got into escorting not too long after I started doing gay porn, because that was where I could really make some money, dude.
And you were naturally marketing yourself.
You don't even have to advertise. You put an ad up, but it's like,
but people are like, I want to fuck this guy. I've been jerking off to him for
I put
a while.
it on Twitter. Hey, I'm in New York City. My fucking phone's blowing up.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that's just kind of the reality of it.
Talk closer to the mic.
I'm drinking a sparkling yerba mate.
I've made that mistake so many times, like of a sparkling drink, and it's just like, okay, I'm gonna
burp right in the mic. Yeah, sorry, man.
It's all good. I do it all the
time. But yeah, dude. So like, it's, what ended up happening was things got weirder and weirder, right? Yeah. And as things got weirder, as I had sex with more men on camera, in front of lights, in front of people, take by take, and my addiction grew, things got just more complicated. Then the media, essentially, like the gay porn blogs and the fucking Twitter account and the Instagram account, everybody's like, oh, he's definitely not gay for pay. He's definitely, he's gay. He just hasn't came to terms with it yet.
Fuck with you?
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. Because part of me is like, fuck you, no, I'm not.
When you're not gay, and people, like, because someone asked me that I'm pretty flamboyant. Yeah. But someone asked me that like 2 weeks ago, and it still hurt. And
you're like, fuck you, I got style, bitch.
I just dress nice, and I'm fluid in the way that I'm comfortable in femininity. Yeah. I could have said that slower. I'm comfortable in that, so like I can joke around in that sense, but it still hurts that people are still asking me that. Yeah. So did it hurt you to ask that people questioned your sexuality?
Yeah, I would say it hurt, but it didn't hurt as much as it just fucking pissed me off. Yeah. And it was like, for a while, I was like, maybe I have to say that I'm bisexual because maybe like, maybe that will make people feel better. But then you get these very outspoken, people in the community that follow gay porn really closely. And they're just like they want to dog you for that too. You know what I mean? I don't even know where they're coming from. And it would be a judgment if I said something. But the reality is, it's just like, can you not just fucking accept me for who I am?
Yeah.
But the thing that I've really come to terms with, and a big part of why I'm so adamant about sharing my story, and I can come on here and talk about this, and I'm really setting up plans to really take this to another level in my life.
He has a podcast dropping in January, so we're going to get into it.
Yeah, so the reason is because nobody's pulled the curtain back on what actually goes on.
Yeah.
It's not, like it still blows my mind. Like the AVNs don't really have anything to do with the gay porn industry, but like you see these people go to the AVNs, which for you those who don't know is like the Adult Video Network like awards in Las Vegas. It's like, millions of people.
Yeah.
It's like these fucking people fly from across the world to come meet the person they jerk off to, dude. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I get it, but it's also like, you don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
Like no bullshit.
I created a whole story.
Oh, fuck.
When I was a teenager, there was this porn star who I would like almost get jealous. I was like, I want to date her. Like, and I was a kid though. So, I had like a crush on a porn star. You know, like, and you create a whole story about this person who is just performing, probably doesn't even like what she's doing, really, like if you think about it. But we create these stories for these people. Yeah. And that's that's part of the danger of pornography, is that it creates this, you're living in an illusion, an illusion of what sex actually is, because you're married, married sex is fucking, sometimes you're not even having sex. I don't know about your sex life, but sometimes we're not even having sex. That's not like, sometimes not even a part of it. But porn is such a departure from what real sex actually is. So it's super dangerous, but keep going.
Yeah. And I hear what you're saying, and I agree entirely. And I think the obsession with it to that level, to fly across the country, to see this person that you masturbate to.
Yes, interesting.
Whether you stalk them on Google and you know their real name or not, you have no fucking idea who that person is.
Yeah.
And even if they're very open about who they are in their life off camera, 90% of your attention is driven to their Pornhub or whatever it is. It's not who they are.
Yeah.
I had friends, dude, no bullshit, for 8 years that called me Tommy. That's not even my real fucking name, dude.
Yeah.
Like when I first met my wife, when I was dating her, she had me saved in her phone as my porn alias, dude.
Wow.
Because I met her at an event, and that was kind of...
Can we say that your wife was in porn as well?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Sorry.
We don't have to out her.
Sorry, babe.
We don't have to out her.
No, it's cool. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
She's very open, not as open as I am in this moment.
Yeah.
Because she also has her own things going on, but
Yeah.
she's shared and she's actually co-producing my podcast and
there
stuff
you
with
go.
me. So she'll be involved. So yeah, she's open about that. And like, it's interesting, dude, talking to her, when that whole process developed, I went from, like I said, cash injection to what the fuck am I actually doing to holy shit, I'm actually a big deal. And then it cruised for a minute there, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to rehab when I was 18 for crystal meth addiction.
Yeah.
Which was a few months after I started.
Yeah.
I used meth for the
I got
first time.
sober in the gay community in Palm Springs. And it's the meth and any gay activity it's so closely linked. I've been to so many CMA meetings, and it makes people especially people in the LGBT community, so difficult to stop because it becomes correlated.
Oh, it's so ingrained in the sex life.
It's so ingrained in the sex life, just like the orgies and the inhibitions are gone, and the hypersexuality. So that makes sense that meth was
and
jam.
I was lucky to stay clean from crystal meth at least for 5 years, but I was under the impression, because it took me to my knees in like 3 months, man. And so I went to treatment. I mean, this is shortly after I started porn. I smoked meth at like one of my first gay porn events.
Yeah.
And then, like a gay porn gathering kind of like event, like AVN, but not AVN. Like it's called Gay Days in Orlando. So like partied there for the first time. And then it just like, I just hit the ground fucking running, and I burned fast. But I went to rehab when I was 18. And then so when I got sober from meth, I was able to really actually like get back into doing what I was doing and manage, because it was easier for me to manage drinking and cocaine and ecstasy on weekends and smoking pot. It was just easier.
Yeah.
And for 5 years I did it, and it got dirty and rough there for a little bit, but I was able to really build a big career for myself, and I had a lot of lucky breaks, a good agent, contracts, high level escorting, the bizarre paradox of my addiction was, and my escorting was like, I had the millionaire clients in Beverly Hills, and then I had the I need a sack, dude. So I went to a Super 8 motel for $200 too, just depending on where I was at.
Wow.
So a lot of weird shit happened, and I grew. You good?
Yeah, I'm just breathing. I told you I got to breathe away from the mic. I'm gonna take a big.
I'm gonna have to start doing that. Yeah, I could hear myself. He's probably like, oh,
he's gonna take it out, but like, I've just learned to do that.
So what ended up happening, dude, like I said, is it got like, I blew up, and then, what goes up must come down.
Yeah.
And with that addiction and with that ego does not mix well with addiction. It just, it just fucking clashed.
Yeah.
And so I'd say, 2000, I got sober in 2015. So about 2013, I started to crash, dude. And it was a long burnout for me, dude. And it sucked because, like, there's always that part in us. I don't care how fucking, like, whoever you are, whether it's addiction or whatever you're dealing with, there's always this part of us that, like, wants what we truly want, like what we desire. And mine was just so fucking buried.
Yeah.
And I would get these brief moments with like real people in the industry, which are really hard to find when you're like living in LA in the porn industry. Like, I would find real people and I would connect with them. I remember my old roommate, her name's Jessica, super cool chick. I still chat with her every now and then, but she was like one of those people. She'd come over to my house. She didn't give a fuck about porn. She didn't give a fuck about that, it was gay porn. She didn't care about my escorting. She just wanted to come smoke some weed and like watch movies and shit. Yeah. And like we would connect on such real shit. And I was like almost like at one point I was like, are you my person? Yeah. Because she was like the only real person in my life. Like everybody else I was hanging out with, it was either like an alcoholic, a drug addict, wanted to fuck me, or was somehow involved in the sex industry and just wanted to be in the presence of me because I was quote unquote popular or influential or whatever, Yeah. And so like my whole fucking life was like a lie, dude. And like my big vision for the world and for myself and what I want to create is turn pain into purpose and create truth and identity. Yeah. Because I lost it. Yeah. I mean, I remember I used to call my mom all the time, dude. My mom was super supportive. I know she was like restless nights and shit, but she was always there for me. Yeah. And I think, honestly, dude, I used to call her and just dump. Yeah. Like, me too. Everything on her, dude. It's so dope. We're so lucky to have moms like that who just never give up on you. A lot of people don't have that, I don't do it so much anymore because I just have way better support.
but still just getting grounded with your mom. If you have a mom who can do that and just like tell you never give up and love on you no matter what.
Dude, bless her heart. I probably took a few years off her fucking life.
Mine too. my mom still wakes up like gasping because of the stress I was putting through.
And I was like 2,000 miles away when I was doing all my shit. So, you know, kind of going back to my point there was like, I would do that and just to like, because there was nobody for me to do that with that actually listened. Because anybody who was listening was because they wanted something from me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was that little glimmer of that thing that I was talking about, like in my heart, my soul, that just wanted normalcy in my life. But I had no fucking idea what normalcy looked like. I had been using drugs and alcohol addictively at this point for, let's just call it 10 years. Yeah. You know, and no friends from my childhood. Yeah. Washed everybody out of my life. I mean, dude, when my high school found out that I did porn, holy fuck, dude. Chaos. Like the year before me, the seniors that were juniors when I was a senior kind of deal. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. They're playing my shit, you know, what the fuck are those things called? Not pirates. Torrents, yeah. Or like whatever, there was like those funnels that you could use, like in, you know, to go access sites you're not supposed to. Like people started doing that and like, I was just getting messages like
ruin your reputation.
Oh, ex-girlfriend, like, oh yeah, we dated in high school. Now you're a fucking faggot and you have HIV and all this stuff. And I'm like, you literally have no fucking idea who I am. Yeah. And at this point, I'm super ingrained in the gay porn or the gay industry out of my childhood with family, and now all of my friends are gay. So she's like derogatory about the gay community, saying, you know, assuming that I have like HIV or AIDS because I'm involved with that. Yeah. And it's just like
ignorance.
Dude, fuck you. So I just kind of like shielded everybody off from my childhood, minus like one or two people. And then, you know, I just lived in this bubble, you know, and the bubble fucking collapsed, dude. And so I think the craziest part about my story is that I didn't understand my story and like the profound nature of it until like the last year or two.
So crazy. We can talk about that. Like, did you do porn into your recovery?
No. So why I ended up getting sober, dude, like where shit really hit the fucking fan for me was in June. I got sober October 2015. In June 2000.
Birthday. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Sir. Thank you, brother. In June of 2015, I went to go shoot my last scenes. I had 3 scenes in New York and 1 scene in like Massachusetts on a farm somewhere, like this big movie, like multiple scenes in the movie. So we had it all set up. And I had been, since New Year's, kind of trying to get sober on and off. And I went out there and I was doing pretty all right. But the thought, you know, like, what the fuck am I going to do? Yeah. You know, I have no education. I'm addicted to drugs and alcohol. I've been doing porn for 8 years. Like, I don't even have a resume. Like, I worked at a fucking 7-Eleven. Like, I got nothing, you know, like, what do I do? You know, I didn't want to, like, all these other people, they get out of porn, they go into the porn industry or the production aspect. I'm like, fuck that. You know, like, I don't want anything to do with this shit. And it's not because I hate them or it just was not a conducive environment for me anymore in my life. Like,
it didn't align with your values at that point.
And at that point, I did start getting resentful, you know, like, I'm fucking human. So I was like, pretty rude about a lot of it. Yeah. But, you know, I was tired, dude. Yeah. And so, long story short, like I went to New York, didn't sleep a blink the whole week. Yeah. Partied my ass off, was like high on set, all this crazy shit. And like, long story short, I just kind of hit a mark where like, I thought I was going to kind of die. Yeah. You know, like I was having a full-fledged panic attack, thought I was going to die. Yeah. And, I went and shot my last scene. And I got on a plane, I came home, and like, I think from that point, I did some marijuana maintenance for like a few months. Yeah. With maybe like 1 slip or 2 slips. One I remember vividly. But aside from that, dude, it was just, that's the crazy thing about my story is like those last 4 months, it wasn't like, you know, some people like get in a fucking DUI car accident or they end up in the hospital or jail or whatever. I'd done all that shit already. Yeah. It was those last 4 months, I was so emotionally bankrupt and spiritually bankrupt and fucking miserable. I just remember sitting there like, and I would just start bawling. Yeah. And I was just like, someone fucking save me, please. Because I can't save myself, dude. You know, and I just got to this point where I was just like, I don't know what to fucking do. And for the first time earnestly in my life, I asked for help and like wanted it. Yeah. Not like help me because I can't deal with all the consequences of the shit that I'm doing. Yeah. Like I truly just wanted somebody to fucking help me. Yeah. And that's when like this woman that I'm now engaged to, I mean, we're technically married, not in the eyes of the state, but we had a Burning Man ceremony. So my wife, you know, we were dating at the time, and like she just stepped in, dude, and like fucking brought me to treatment. No bullshit. Took $7,000 out of her savings account and walked to fucking treatment. It was like, I didn't have insurance, you know. There's no, for those of you guys out here who don't know, porn stars don't have a fucking union.
There's no 401k. There's no insurance.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So she fucking brought me over there, dude, and paid 7 G's. Like, and you know, bless her fucking heart, dude. And there's a liquor store for anybody who lives in LA. Cry Help is the name of the facility. Awesome facility. And Circus Liquors on the corner.
Yeah.
And she fucking walked over there.
Got you a bottle.
No.
Because that would have been some real ride or die shit.
Yeah, right, my meth dealer lived like a half mile down the road. I thought about it many times when I was in treatment. But no, she went to go pay, and they're like, oh, we don't take cash. And she's like, well, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah.
So she fucking went to the liquor store and got 14 $500 money orders, because that's the max that they would give her, and paid, you know, whatever fee on 14 of them.
Wow.
And walked back over and was like, here you go, put them fucking money orders down. See you in 30 days. Like, take care of this dude. And like, you know, it was choppy for us. You know, I don't know if she really wanted to be with me. I think she really just wanted me to get help. And like, you know, one thing led to the next, and we ended up working shit out. But dude, like, I'm so fucking grateful for that, because she's like my fucking guardian angel. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
it's amazing how, like, my partner's a normie. I don't know if your partner is a normie, but when I say normie, she just doesn't do drugs, or is not. And it's amazing because, and I've asked friends, like, why do so many addicts find nice girls? Addict men find nice girls. And, you know, my friend, you know her too, she said, because we're nice. Mm-hmm. Because we're nice people, you know, and we have such a distortion in our thinking, in our experience, that makes us feel like we're bad people or not lovable. But really we're the nicest people I know are people in our community who've experienced what so we end up with these my partner's my guardian angel too. Never give up on me, just like ride or die with me no matter what. And she reminds me that I'm a decent person. Yeah. I can attract a decent person. Someone loves me for who you are. And it sounds like you found that with someone who just loves you for who you are.
100%, dude. And being one, there's that part of it. And then being 100% transparent. And like, I hope this helps somebody. I fucking resent her for that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's been times in our relationship where I'm like,
break that down.
Yeah. Like in parts of our relationship, I'm like, why the fuck? You know what I mean? So it's like, I'll push her away. Like, why the fuck would you stay with me? Like, why would you want to be with me after all this shit? But then the other part of me like longs for her. Yeah. So I'm in this like pushing her away and then wanting to wrap my arms around her and pull her back in. And it's been super difficult for me. And I'm sure extremely difficult for her. And, you know, it's like, I subconsciously sometimes will push her away from me. Yeah. Because I don't feel like worthy of having somebody like that in my life. Definitely. Like somebody like me, you know?
I speak about it all the time. I had this person who is the mother of my children, and she actually pulled me out of a car because I struggled well into my sobriety. I was so young. I tried to commit suicide in 2015. She pulled me out of the car with the hoses hooked up to it. And essentially I was about to go out, and she pulled me out of the car and saved my life. And then I proceeded to cheat on this woman for 2 years. And just because I just didn't feel worthy, I resented. I was like, why? First of all, why are you such a better person than I am? Like, why are you just naturally such a better human than I am? But I just didn't feel like like you said, I resented her for loving me. And it takes a long time. I think something that we don't really talk about in our community is that it takes a long time to actually feel truly lovable. Oh, you know, it's sure, dude. Because we get so used to hating ourselves.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the community say like, you know, let us love you till you learn how to love yourself and stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
All that stuff is the longer I'm sober, all that annoying shit that you hear people say, we say because it's true. Yeah. Because people, no matter I caused wreckage in my first years, man. When I tell you, I was too young. And I had no values. You know, like I was a street kid. I was a slut, like not even a player. Like a player has some sort of power in it. Yeah. I was just slutty. Yeah. And, people just said, keep coming back. and have you tried meditating? And like they just and just didn't judge me, and they're still there, and they raised me essentially. The nicest people I've ever met, you know. So it's like they say, "Love, we're gonna love you till you love yourself." It's true, and they just wait for that miracle to happen.
Yeah, and dude, I mean, the bottom line with me learning how to love myself was like, I had to learn how to fucking forgive myself.
Yeah,
and that's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, dude.
So hard.
I mean, when you do the shit, I mean, dude, like, we didn't dive into too many like war stories.
Yeah,
but
we
like,
don't have to. Yeah,
but like real shit, like some of the shit I've done, some of the shit that was done to me is one thing. Some of the shit I've done to other people. I mean, I've never like fucking, you know, murdered anybody or like sexually assaulted anybody. But dude, I used to go to like see a client that liked to party and like get them too fucked up.
Yeah.
So they were too fucked up to do shit with me, and then hang out for 6 hours and be like, all right, time to pay up, gotta go. You know, or like I knew how to manipulate tweakers, dude. You know, I'd go see a client when I was escorting or something and bring, you know, like the laptop. I'll be like, hey, let's find somebody else to bring over. And then the tweaker's like on the computer for fucking 4 hours and I'm getting paid for all that time. You know, I just used to rob people, dude. I was a liar, a cheat, a thief. Like, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck about you. I give a fuck about getting paid and getting mine. You know, I was in total consumer mentality.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that's a big part of it too, is like knowing I was such a taker.
Yeah.
And then having somebody like my wife in my life gives so much. I'm just like, are you fucking stupid? Like, what do you know who you're giving to? You know?
It's wild, man.
You know, the more time that goes on, dude, like now I'm able to contribute in my relationship and give to her on a whole new level and bring her into doing shit like the podcast, you know, and like all these big things I'm doing in my life. That like at one point in her life, she wanted to do similar things. Like she had this like pornstarlifecoach.com kind of thing that she wanted to do. And like all these different things. And I robbed her of it because when I wanted to get out of the industry, you had to get out of the industry. Yeah. You couldn't have anything to do with those people. I mean, this is like
moving her around like a chess piece.
Dude, and I was so fucking manipulative, you know? And there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so for her to be humble to the point that she is, it's hard for me to even express an adequate amount of gratitude for her being that humble, you know? Like my ego doesn't want to let me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, I'm just super blessed to have people like that in my life. Dude.
So they say, someone told me first year you get your life back. By year 5, you get your brains back. You've heard that before?
Yeah. And I supposedly at 10, your head pops out your ass is what I think I've heard.
I've heard that one too. But it's fucking true. And you said you've only started to perceive things about your story and about your life that only started making sense in your like 4 going into 5th year. Yeah. That was where my transition was too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the recovery life and the spiritual life started to make sense to me. So what do you, besides that like cliche version, what were the steps? Like what were the transitional profound moments and realizations that you had in that that made it so you can talk about this on the microphone and freely and, you know?
I would say honestly, dude, I mean, I've done a shit ton of personal development work in the last couple of years. That had a lot.
You're a giant. You're someone who I look up to in that regard.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. But really what I think it was, you know, like I've helped other people get sober, which has been super rad. And I love it and I still do that. But I think it was helping somebody outside of just sobriety and seeing that like I have the ability.
Yeah.
Like I'm capable of facilitating transformation and change in people's lives for the better, regardless if they are a drug addict or not, or an alcoholic, or if they were in the sex industry. Like I've helped people make really big things happen in their life just through being vulnerable with my story. And then, and my experience and the tools that I've used to shift the things that go on. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's really between 4 and 5 in the last year or so is really, really what started to generate that inspiration for myself to be on a bigger platform.
Yeah.
Because before that, I was just like, I've been spared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've been spared.
Just getting lucky.
Yeah. Like, you know, like thank God for, you know, the people that I've met along the way, and thank God for the tools that have been laid at my feet that I could pick up and utilize to stay sober every day.
Yeah.
You know, like let me move on with my life and help a few people in the sobriety community that I can. And that's it. But then I started seeing like, no, dude, it's much bigger than that. And then I've had some people that interrupt that conversation too, which has been really, you know, like the guy that's helped me put all the, you know, the whole story together and all the stuff that I'm creating here. Like I thought that just helping people get sober was the answer.
Yeah.
But
Dude, something bigger.
So much bigger.
So much bigger.
And, you know, I tell people all the time, like the truth and identity vision that I have, it goes for everybody, dude. I mean, I happen to lose my identity to like this other alias of like Tommy, the porn star, blah, blah, blah. But like people lose their identity being a ma.
Yeah.
People lose their identity to their job. People lose their identity everything.
That's what we do here. That's what I do here as well. And that's why I want the stories represented. And that's why we're in the hope business, and you're in the hope business too. And by sharing your experience, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a job you hate, whether it's addiction, whatever, it's the sex industry, whether it's strippers or anything in the sex industry that makes you feel bankrupt.
Yeah,
you can change it. And it's just that it's the basic idea of any motivator, that if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
But you have a very unique story, and then you're so powerful as a human. That's how I reached out to Jesse. I was like, I don't know why I haven't collaborated with James, that he's fucking giant. Maybe I was honestly not intimidated. I think we're both alpha in a passive way.
Yeah.
I think we're both, and I was like a little intimidated, not jealous, but intimidated, like, damn, this is a powerful ass motherfucker, dude. Like,
dude, I think I told you this before, but just so the listeners can hear it. It's funny because like I'm the same fucking way about you.
Yeah.
And I think the weird thing is like, dude, like, I mean, I'm the same way as you. Like you were kind of saying earlier, you have that like masculine, feminine energy balance. Like I'm kind of the same way. And I think a big part of that for me is like, I'm a fucking giant, but I don't see that I'm a giant.
Yeah.
And then every now and then I'll catch my shadow and I'll be like, oh shit. And then I'll be like, let me jump into this. And so like, I look at other people like they're so much bigger than me. You know, like you're creating such amazing things. And then people talk to me and they're just like naturally inspired. And I'm like, you're fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So I think
it takes a while to walk in that.
I think you have to be in relationship with how powerful you are as a human being. Because for the longest time I was told that like, you know, when I first got sober, like I had this idea in my mind that I was like, you know, everything around me had crumbled on my own doing by my choices.
Yeah.
So I thought I had no power anywhere in my life. Like I thought I was like powerless over everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't realize that like my creator, you know, I'm super into like my God in the universe.
We just did a whole podcast on conception of God.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, my conception of my higher power, like I am in full belief that like my higher power lives inside of me.
Yeah.
And that it has given me the power of self-will for a reason. Yeah. And I need to use that and align that self-will with my divine my divine purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and by aligning my will with the will of my you know, what my divine purpose is by the guidance of my higher power, by my God, is that I get to create magical things in the world.
Yeah.
And no wonder I wasn't doing that for the last 15 years because I was like, I was the furthest thing from what my divine purpose was. But I had to live through all that shit to get, you know, I had to go through that dark forest to get back to the path to realize like, wow, I can use all of that to help people. You know what I mean? And I think it's a blessing, you know, and that's why my big thing is like pain into purpose, dude, because without that, I wouldn't have the power that I have today.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a superpower. And, you know, people ask me how I stay stoked on life. Because I wake up, I said it on a couple weeks ago, I wake up hard dick, ready to fucking go in life. Like every day I wake up like ready to fucking go. And there's days where I'm a little more groggy than others, but by 7 a.m. I'm ready to hustle. And like by 9 a.m. I'm ready to get here and be a personality. Yeah. And what keeps me able to do that is just staying grateful and remembering that you and I come from darkness. The darkness.
Oh yeah.
But when you come from the darkness, it's like, you know, the fact that we just even get to do the things that we get to do, you know, for me, you get to raise children and for you get to be married and be a committed husband and, you know, successful member of your community and like transform people. Like like it's easy to stay stoked on life when you can look at the perspective. I think we're lucky that we have that perspective because a normal person can live with passive suffering forever. We just don't have the bandwidth to live like that.
Well, and dude, the other thing kind of going off what you're saying is like I have such a high threshold for pain.
Yeah.
So if I don't stay in that, I could be on the flip of that for a long fucking time too, dude. And it'll take me, I can I can be like, oh, well, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll tell you that threshold changes the longer you stay sober.
yeah, I bet.
It changes because
Yeah.
like I'm very like discomfort I'm okay with, in the sense of like I still feel like out of place, and I still like want to be liked, and I still have that discomfort. But in regards to like spiritual pain, in regards to like, you know, causing harm, I just immediately, if I cause any kind of harm, there's an action to follow, because I'm just not going to sit in it anymore. I just don't have like, and especially in my recovery, my first 4 years, I caused so much harm and was in so much pain, and my threshold was just, I could hate myself for a long time. And then I'm like, the longer I'm here, I'm like, okay, no. It's like, what are the actions? What are the next steps? Who do I have to make amends to? Like, what's the next indicated thing that's going to make me not feel this way? And it's usually a spiritual option, to be honest.
Well, dude, I think it's really about like, for me, what I've identified is like, if I'm striving to be comfortable, like it's time to get like, it's time to switch shit up. Like, for even being here right now, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I know we were talking about like times to be on the air and like when we can do this. And like, I was telling my wife, I was like, man, like part of me just wants to fucking stay at home this weekend. Like, cause I live in Phoenix and we're in San Diego, right? So I'll give some context here, but like, you know, I was like, well, I could go make a weekend out of it, hang out with my boys, and then go over there and podcast. Like, that's cool. And then we're looking at times, and I was like, man, that means I'm not going to leave there till like this time.
Yeah.
I won't get home till like, and then I lose an hour going home, and I'm going to get home till 2 a.m. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking blessed to go do this. Yeah, could I do it on Zoom? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we could have done it on Zoom.
But fuck that, dude. Like, this is what I'm jumping into in my own life.
You're about to do this, so it's very. I think it would behoove you to not do it with somebody else who knows how to do it, and like to practice. And honestly, I can tell immediately in a podcast when it's going to be good. And this is great. This is a perfect kind of podcast. It's very conversational, and it's, you know, poignant, and you know, so I'm happy you came down. I really appreciate you coming down, because this is a story that I wanted to hear for a long time, as long as I've known you.
Oh, and we could do a part 2, dude. There's so much shit that
I mean, well, no, let's go into what you're creating, and we'll finish up with that. Let's go into what you're creating, because, you know, we don't need a part 2. Let's plug your shit. So, and I'll do everything I can to plug yours on every platform.
I appreciate that, man. So what I'm doing right now, I'm kind of in a 3-step kind of thing. First 2 steps, podcast and book. My long-term vision is to be a big stage speaker. Like, I love coaching. I love one-on-one coaching. So I definitely want to build a platform so people can hear my story and they can identify with me, like what it is that like I can support them with, right? Like, I want to get my story out there. And if it helps people, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm sure it'll be fucking entertaining. You know what I mean? Yeah. The other part of it is, you know, like I want to make sure people know that like I'm here and I'm available for you. Like, you're not alone in what you've gone through. So the podcast is kind of the first part of that. And then I think the book, which is what I'm excited, but I'm kind of like more anxious about than the podcast, because this is natural for me, right?
Yeah.
The book is not. Like, that shit is just, people have been telling me for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, oh, you should write a book. I'm like, fuck you. You just want you just want me to give you the deets on like my craziness. Yeah. But now I see that like I can change lives through writing a book, right? And so I'm really excited about that portion, but I'm a little anxious, like I said. But dude, I see this like opportunity to like pull the curtain back on, and it's not I'm not an anti-porn activist. You know what I mean? Like, this is not like, I'm 100% like pro sex work. Pro sex work. I'm very sex positive. Like, I'm for all that shit. You know, I'm just not for people going into it or being into it without the tools that they need to stay fucking sane. Yeah. And to recover from anything that may come about, you know? Yeah. So that's really the importance here. Is like, this isn't just for people in porn or people in addiction. It's for everybody. Yeah. It can be entertaining. It could be motivation or inspiration, if that's the thing you believe in. I believe in, you know, that you can get that, but it doesn't last. You know what I mean? And the other part is just for the sake of like a platform for people to listen to, like, this is what the fuck goes on in the world. Yeah. Yeah. You know, like, nobody knows like what happens when I'm not on set. Yeah. When I go home and I just fucked a dude and I'm not gay, and everybody I'm getting notifications on my phone about like all this shit and like the psychology behind it and like what it did to me emotionally, and like the measures that I took to, quote, cure myself, or not like cure, but like
Absolve yourself.
medicate myself to like deal with what I was doing so I could go do it the next day.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of what I want to talk about. And then, like I said, third step is I would love to do like a documentary or a Netflix kind of thing, because for me, that's how I absorb information.
Yeah.
I should read way more than I do, but like I love podcasts.
Yeah, that's how I absorb. I listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would love to do that, because I think through all of this, not only am I going to grow as a leader, grow as a recovered drug addict and alcoholic, but also grow as a human being in the context of like, this is what I'm capable of doing in my life.
Yeah.
And so my message is, if you saw my life 5 years ago, and I was just driving Lyft and Uber because I had nothing else to do and I was newly sober with like, 30 days.
Yeah.
You can fucking do anything you want, man. Like, and maybe you don't even know what the thing that you want to do is right now, and that's okay, dude. And I just want to open that up to people. So podcast, book, Netflix or some shit, and I want to be on big stages just fucking, giving realness to the
dreams, bro.
Yeah.
We have the same we have the same. I told my my partner, by next year I want to only be podcasting and public speaking and doing interventions. That's all I want to be doing by 2022. Is because that's what I love to do, and sharing, it's the hope business. It's the hope business. Like, you can make it. People can make it, man. And I feel like and I know, especially now, there's so much desperation of people who don't believe they can make it. And I remember, when it clicked to me, and I still am kind of walking in it right now, where it's like, I can do anything, man. And even if whether anybody's watching or not, I can fucking do anything I want to. And when you see your name on the spine of a book, you're gonna be like, "Fuck, I can do whatever I want." Man. Like when I put, even though my book is very modest, just to say that I did it, and to know that I'm gonna do it. My brother put, talking about me, he's like, my brother put out his first book. He knows there's gonna be more, and like the idea that I did it once, I know I could do it again. Yeah, and so I'm excited for you.
Thanks, man,
because you're about to be rocketed into another dimension, and then when you start doing it, you're like, I can fucking do it, and like it's tight, dude. Well, it's exciting.
And I think the most important thing for myself and anybody out there who's doing something, like, really identify like how you feel when you're doing it, like what you're speaking into, man. Because like I got on like my first, like, we've had some lead-in calls, like me and this just gentleman Patrick that's supporting me with putting all this shit together. Like, he's really spearheading this. He's fucking awesome. I love him to death. So shout out to Patrick when you listen to this, dude. Thank you. But like, I go to work every day and I love what I do. Right now I work in, sales. I support people that are entrepreneurs and getting the tools that they need to like build their online business, which is rewarding, right? I love it, but it doesn't fill me up.
Yeah.
I spent 2.5 hours on a Zoom call with Patrick, mapping out the whole first season of my episode, or whole first season of my podcast.
Yeah.
And I got off that call and I just felt like lightning had hit my dick. Yeah. Which the only time I ever felt like lightning hit my dick was like when I snorted a hot rail back in the day.
Or when lightning actually hit your dick.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I was just like, dude, like, this is what I was fucking born to do, man. Like, and it was the first time I was like I was fucking excited about creating something, dude. And I was like collaborating with somebody. I was like, fucking, this is so rad, dude. And like, if you told me that I was going to do this 5 years ago, I would have been like, fuck off, you're crazy, But this is so, dude. So like, if there's something out there, like if you play music and you fucking love it, fucking
do it.
Even if it's not for a career, like invest time and love and energy into
that. It's the best time in the history of the world to just create and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And everybody who says, how do you start a podcast? Because I think even you asked me, like, what do a little bit about what to do. And, 20 people have hit me up in the last 2 years. And just do it. Do it. It's the fucking internet, dude. Do whatever
Google
you want.
That shit, dude.
No, Google it. Like, no, I'll tell you every step of the way what to do, and just do it because it's the fucking internet, and create. Yeah. And it feels, and then I've gotten to the point where I'm at in my life where, and I'm so blessed. And like you said, when you look back at your life and when you start doing things that you couldn't even imagine you're doing, it's to just wake up and do what you want to do every day.
Yeah.
Man, I want that for everybody, dude.
When it's easier to wake up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Ready to go.
Yeah, like sometimes, like my desk is in the office, and it's not like I hate my job or the people I work with. I love them to death, but it's like some days I wake up and it's like my first call's at 9, I get up at like 8, and I'm just like, man, fuck this, dude. And it's not because I'm like resentful.
You're living somebody else's dream.
Exactly, dude. And it's not like I want to help them. It's a great company. They're like new, all that stuff, but it's just like, this isn't me, like this isn't what, and like I get those little sparks of joy throughout the day that are nice, but like the other 80% of it, I'm just like, man, I can't wait to be done with this for the day so I can go do something I really truly love to do. So like, I love that, like you're at that space that you've built yourself up to that point, because that's, like having the platform and the listeners and the audience is like the goal. But I think the goal, but I think just, it doesn't matter if nobody's listening to the music that you're creating or seeing the paintings that you're drawing. Do it for the love of the game, man. Exactly, dude.
And when you do it for the love of the game and you keep doing it, people will, like I tell people will reach out and be like, your shit is fire. And I'll be like, I'm just waiting to get on. But I don't do it for the listeners. I do it because I love what I do. And if you continue to do things like that for the love of the game, people will see that.
Yeah.
People will see that, like, nobody's watching, but he's still fucking putting it out.
Yeah.
Like, he loves it. And that resonates more than just being popping for clout.
Yeah.
That popping for clout shit, that dies off.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we learn. That surface bullshit, that doesn't last. That's an engine that doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
But when you're doing things for the purpose and you're doing things for the love of the game, you can go anywhere. You can get anywhere you want to. So let's wrap up. But do you have a name for your podcast?
I do.
You're not ready to drop it?
I don't think I'm ready to drop it yet. I don't. It's fucking out. I'm trying to think if I should. Fuck it. Yeah, I'll just drop it. No, I'm not going to drop it because I haven't gotten the business legality shit down yet. So keep your eyes peeled, and I'll drop it soon.
So I will keep everybody updated on James's podcast, and anything we can do to support you, man.
I appreciate you, dude.
You can come back on when it drops, and
I would love that.
Share the audience, and my listeners will listen to yours and share it all around. Do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you want to plug now? Like social?
Oh yeah,
just start building that.
I mean, you can check me out on Instagram. It's I am LaRusso. Right now, it's just a bunch of stupid memes and inspirational quotes, and just realness from me. But IAM and then LARUSSO on Instagram. Check that out. But aside from that, man, I'm just like doing my thing over here and just growing, and I'm just super stoked for what's to come, dude. And I'll tell you the one thing that I'm really stoked about is collaborating with my wife and her being a part of it. We've done a few things together. We produced a music festival like 3 years ago. And like, I've never been as connected with my wife as I was in those moments. So it's, if you're out there in your relationship, like find something that you and your partner love to do together. That's not in the house, or if it is in the house, like, I know a lot of fitness couples and this and that. Like, just have something that you guys can collab on, dude, because it's super cool. And like, I love like bouncing ideas off of her. So I'm really grateful for that, Yeah, man. You're lucky, man. You're a lucky man. I am definitely overpaid in blessings, dude.
You live a good life.
For sure.
All right, man. Let's wrap it up. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you for coming on. We're gonna have you on again when yours ready to get up and popping.
Cool, man. Thank you, brother.
All right, yeah. Peace.